Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Amber, and today I'm going to be sharing with you a book review, and it's going to be Poison Study by Marie V. Snyder. And this book is about, hold on, I need to get back to my notes. But this book is about Elena. She is up for, not for execution, but she's in prison, and I believe she's waiting to be executed, which has been a while, I believe. But Valak comes to her prison, or takes her out of prison, and tells her, if you don't want to be executed, you can risk your life by becoming the poison taster for the commander. So of course she takes him up on that. So this is the first book of a 6-book series. I think it initially started out as a trilogy, but then she continued on with the next 3 books. So I'm coming to a 6-book series because it's all, the last 3 books are just a continuation of her story. But anyways, that being said, I have a lot of issues with this book. I will say right off the bat that it is fast, easy to read, and if you ignore the issues, it's quick like cutting candy, you know. You can gobble up like cutting candy and move on, but there are issues with this book. And I will be talking spoilers, but I will say non-spoilery. There is transphobia. There is a romance that is with groomer, pedophile type thing going on, where she is 16 and he is at least, at the minimum, 40 years old. I find the fact that none of these two characters, Valak or Elena, couldn't figure out the whole mystery thing going on. Couldn't put the pieces together well I could, like 5 chapters before them, is strange, considering they kept harping on the fact that the author kept harping on the fact that these 2 characters were supposed to be like really smart and intelligent, and especially Valak, you know. Anyways, I also really don't like how this government works. It doesn't make sense to me. I think the fact that the people who are the oppressors end up being somewhat of the good guys in the situation is a little bit weird, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work that he's a commander of this kingdom, but they're not a democratic world. Like, you know, this whole thing is it's just weird. It doesn't work for me. So it gets 1 star, 2 stars, just for how easy it is to read. But anyways, on to the spoilers. If you do not want to be spoiled, this is where all the fun parts are going to be. But if you don't want to be spoiled, you gotta read this. You know what my issues are, you can move on. But I'm going to go into details about all these issues. Okay, let's just talk about the fact that everything about this book is predictable. And Elena and Valak is kind of like this spy, like this super spy kind of character. He crawls up walls and all black, and nobody knows where he is. He has eyes everywhere, basically. He kind of finds his way to be everywhere at once, it seems like. Yet he can't figure out how the commander is being manipulated by Brazil, who is the father of the son that Elena murders. Elena murders this guy because he raped her, and he was planning to do it again to other girls. And there's this whole thing around they basically are stealing children, raising them till they're 16 to see who has powers and things like that. So that's what they're there for, basically. Anyways, she murders his son, and that's why she is in prison. I find it very interesting because there's this whole thing with this dessert thing, and Valak thinks that it's a drug, and I could get that part of the reason why Valak doesn't know certain things is because she knows some things, because she finds it out but doesn't tell him. But if he's this super spy that can be everywhere at once kind of thing, I mean, yeah, but it just feels weird that he can't put the pieces together. He knew, but he didn't know until after the fact. And I'm just she didn't know things until after the fact. If I get we're supposed to believe that she she doesn't trust people, but the way that she acts doesn't make me feel like she doesn't trust. It's just she doesn't care. She's just whatever, I'm not gonna tell him this little bit. So that could be playing a part into why, but I just felt she was just like, oh, I'm not gonna have her tell because like then things will go by too fast. But it doesn't make sense if they're building this trust, you know. Anyways, I also, again, as I said, enough story about the whole government thing. Okay, they don't care about motivations. So like, even if she was, even though she killed him in self-defense, they didn't care. They don't even know why she killed him. They just know that she killed him. So like, you get killed because you killed somebody. And even in our messed up government, in way the laws and stuff, there are levels, and if it's self-defense, right? You're gonna have a lesser charge or something along those lines. Like, at least you should. And yet here we don't. So you would think that these are the oppressors. The commander is her oppressor. Like, he doesn't care. You like it's like everything is black and white. You do something, you should be punished for it no matter what. There's no gray area for anything. But the fact that like they couldn't even care for the prisoners in a decent manner, like you would just think that this was a story where she is going to be fighting against these people in some way. And the least I expected was that Valak was going to be this guy that was working for a rebellion, right? And he ends up taking her with him to protect her and ends up being her mentor, that kind of thing. And teaches her and everything, because it's clearly he doesn't fully agree with the commander when it comes to magic wielders. And again, there's this whole thing where like the commander basically killed off or banished, like she doesn't even fully know this. I think that like they tell her that like, and the history is that he like wiped out the majority of magic wielders that didn't escape. So you would think that would mean, again, that this would be like somebody that she would not want anything to do with. But throughout the book, we're made to believe that he's actually the good guy. He's not the villain. Oh no. I don't get the point of that. Everybody that you think would be the villain ends up being the good guy. And the one guy that I thought would be her love interest because he's age appropriate and makes more sense because they're both in like this system of being oppressed, you know, like they both have common ground. No, he ends up betraying her and all this yada yada yada. It's not that important, other than like he saves her man and all this stuff. But no, her love interest is Valak, the guy that I thought was going to end up being like the person that gets her out of this land into like the land where all the magic people are apparently living. No, he's the love interest. She's 16 years old, and we know this because they say that your powers don't present themselves to you until you're 16. She starts showing her powers right here in this book, and Elena guesses that he's late 30s, mid 40s. He's a groomer, okay. Now on to the other issue, and I will be reading some quotes that I had here. And there's a scene where she, of course, because she's the taster, she's there in this meeting with the commander and the other leaders of different cities, whatever, what have you, governors, I guess they call them. And Brazil and Modkin are there. Brazil is the father of the guy that she killed. And Modkin is a magic wielder, but nobody knows this because obviously they're supposed to be banished, they're supposed to be killed off, what have you. And Modkin manipulates Elena's dreams. Like, she kind of like dozes off, and she has this dream. And the quote is, and this is after the dream, by the way, like it's like right after the dream, and as she's waking up, she's thinking this. He was a she, but with the utter conviction that she should have been born a man. So, it goes on to say that cruel fate had chosen to burden him with a mutation that he had to overcome. So I'm thinking that the author believes that the commander sees the fact that they were born female as a mutation, but he's actually a man. And I thought that meant trans rep. You know, hopefully it would continue being good rep. But then later on, at the end of the book, when Brazil is arrested, he, like, in front of all the other governors and such, he the commander is a woman, and everybody starts laughing. And this is the quote: "I thought about their jeers. They laughed not because the idea of a woman in power was so ridiculous, but because Commander Ambrose had a powerful presence. And due to his belief and conviction about himself, even though I knew the truth, I could not think of him in any other way." Now this would have been like, I would have had a huge, like, issue with, like, the saying, like, it's barely trans rep, if anything. But it's comes off transphobic to me, because even though I know the truth, what is the truth? If he identifies and sees himself as a man, he is a man. By saying, even though I knew the truth, my opinion that I have been mulling for a while, is that the author and Elena believe that the commander is a woman, even though he identifies as a man. And that to me is transphobic. And I was just not here for this. I know this book was, like, published in, like, early 2000s, right? So it's like the way people viewed transness and the understanding of being trans at that time may have been different than, you know, today. Like, we learn, we educate ourselves, etc. So I don't know what this author's viewpoints are today, but this comes off as transphobic to me, and it just was made me very uncomfortable. And it's just something that makes me think I could not have recommended this book fully, especially for people who are trans. Like, that part may seem like a throwaway thing, but it's a harmful thing, I think, to say. You are what you are and what you choose to be, you know. And being trans is not a choice. Being queer is not a choice. We are what we are. And here's the thing, that whole thing, it comes off like, okay, you know how Christians are like, we love the sinner but we hate the sin? But you can't hate the sin if you consider being trans, being queer a sin without hating the sinner. That's just something I've been thinking, whereas it's like, you can't say that you accept him at the same time that you're still saying that he's a woman. So as I said at the beginning, I gave this book 2 stars just because it was, like, a very easy read and quick to get through. And if it weren't for, like, a lot of these things, I probably would have enjoyed it. Like, even though it was predictable and I could guess easily a lot of things that I thought that Valak himself should have been able to get, it was an easy, quick read, and it would have been fun if it weren't for, like, these 2 major things. And recently I just saw somebody recommend this book without even talking about these issues, and this is somebody that I thought would have been smart enough to, like, recognize these issues. So there are still people recommending this book without even talking about these issues, so I wanted to bring this book out again and talk about it. I just read this last month, so, but I was really disappointed because I bought all 6 books. I was budgeting to really like this book. There were so many people, and just a couple of years ago, we were like, somebody that I followed, I don't know anymore who it was even, but they read him and, like, recommended it, and I was like, oh, I remember these books, so I bought all of them, thinking that I was gonna do, like, this whole thing where I was gonna read all of the books. I don't know. I might continue on just to see if it gets better or worse. Just because I feel weird having bought them and then not reading them. But I do have major issues with these books. But it's like cotton candy, you know, like, it's a very easy read. And I expect that it would be like the same thing if I continue on. But I will never stand by transphobia. I will never be okay with that kind of age gap situation. It is not a romance. That is not romance. Also, oh, yeah, on top of this whole romance thing, okay, I have to bring this up last minute, but at the beginning of the book, when Valak like brings up this proposition to her, she's like, yes. So he starts right away with training her to be a poison taster, and he lines it all up, right? And then the last one that he gives her, she takes it, and then he's like, that's real poison. And he says that the only way for her to not die is that every morning she has to come to his office to get the antidote. And later we find out that, oh, that was just like a bluff to keep her from running away. He wasn't even actually real. And this is why, like, even if it wasn't like a major age gap, it would be a problematic relationship in and of itself, because he has all the power in this relationship. And now, I don't really like power dynamics in romances. I think that if you're going to be in a romantic relationship, it's a partnership. No one should be like on like above the other. Like, you're supposed to be like, you know, a relationship is like, you know, equal grounds. Like, I don't like the whole power fight, power dynamic situation. Like, it just feels icky, because it feels like, well, then you're constantly fighting for who has dominance over the other in that way. Like, I don't like it. Anyways, so like, he has all the power, and control, and he controls if she lives or dies on some level. And he like totally manipulated, made her live in fear, and yet we're supposed to see him as the good guy and a great romantic partner. But that is beside all the point, because this is a groomer. He's 40-some years old. That in and of itself, the fact that he's 40 and she's 16, that should be like a big red flag. No. In and of itself. Well, bit. Yeah. So those are the things that I have issues. Again, I give it 2 stars. And that's all. I'll see you in the next review. Bye.